Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I will share with you how I really got a fully funded scholarship to LBS. This one is a bit uncomfortable for me, but I will give it all to you today. As we go through this video, I want you to take note of three main things pertaining to application of scholarship or looking for funding. The first one is you need to communicate. The second one is you need to communicate well. The third one is you need to cast your net wide. I'll talk more about this towards the end of the video. So now I had gotten a place already at LBS, but I knew that it was going to be a struggle because I had applied for funding before and I had not been successful. So at this point, my brothers from LBS and other people gave me a lot of tips when I shared that I'd gotten a place at LBS. A friend of mine from college advised me to do a GoFundMe, and other brothers from the CFA community in Zimbabwe and a brother from LBS told me that it was now time to think like a private equity person, think outside the box. So I had no idea what I was talking about, guys. But anyway, people gave me suggestions, so I tried to incorporate what they were saying because I was not about to lose this chance. So I even did the GoFundMe, and a couple of people donated there, but the money was not enough. I think we raised about 325 or 375 US dollars something. I needed 8,000 for the deposit, and I needed around 38,000, must be 37.9 for tuition and then living costs on top of that. So it wasn't enough. I spoke to the school because the deadline for the deposit was approaching, and I asked for an extension for the deposit, and the school sympathized with me. So how I structured my request for the deadline is, at the time there are things that happened to me that should not have happened. So I communicated that with the school because those things deterred me from being able to pay the deposit at the time that it was due. I don't want to dwell much on what it is that happened that deterred me from being able to pay, because I feel like I've outgrown that, and so yeah, I'd like to really just move past that. But also I feel like it's not for me to say anything that looks like an accusation to anyone. I feel like even when people do things to us that they shouldn't do, God still wants them to be saved just as He wants us to be saved, right? Sometimes in our anger and in our bitterness, we can easily become careless, and become stumbling blocks to the salvation of others, and in so doing we disqualify ourselves for heaven. Seeds of bitterness will almost always be planted in us, but it's not for us to water them. We do not have to water them. The things that happened were bad enough that I literally cried for 3 consecutive meetings, 3 meetings that I had, I think, one week apart, and failed to even contribute to the conversation. It took hours, like all the 3 meetings took, I don't know, maybe 3-4 hours or something, but I could not even say anything because I was crying the whole time. But I had to get past it because I needed to communicate with the school. I needed to pick myself up and move forward, and I could not do that if I dwelled on that. If I harbored the bitterness, I would not be able to communicate the way I was supposed to communicate with the school, because once you communicate with someone out of bitterness and you present yourself in bitterness, it becomes difficult for the other person to trust you or your emotions and to trust themselves around you, because why should they feel safe if you're harboring bitterness? I needed to pick myself and communicate that with the school, because it actually deterred me from being able to pay the deposit at the time that I was supposed to pay the deposit. And the school sympathized with the situation, and they allowed me an extension for the deposit. And then after some days or a week or something, they reached out to me. The school literally called me. They made a phone call to me to tell me that my scholarship had been increased. So earlier, when I first made the initial request for extension of the deadline, my scholarship was increased from the initial 12,000 to 20,000 pounds, and now after the phone call I was told that my scholarship had been increased to 40,000 pounds, and so now the full tuition was covered and I no longer had to pay the deposit. That was such a relief to me. So in all that, I also had to explain a lot of other things, like how the Zimbabwean economy works, why I can why I thought I could not get a loan, why I thought my loan applications were being rejected. So it was things around Zimbabwe being a cash economy. You don't really build a credit score in that, and so when you're applying for loans, especially international loans, you are really at a disadvantage. So now that I had full tuition covered and the deposits taken care of, I felt relieved. I felt relieved, but I still had to look for the living cost, and I tried to look for the living cost. I still tried to apply for loans just in case, don't know what happens, and I looked for scholarships and grants, and I got, at least, I can't remember the person who even sent me this. I don't think this person is in my personal contacts, but for some reason someone reached out to me and gave me a list of charities that sponsor education projects and stuff. I reached out to over 100 of them trying to get sponsorship and funding, but I didn't get any money from it. I did get some responses. Some had closed the application, some just didn't respond, and some just did not offer funding at that particular time. Yeah. If I didn't end up going to London Business School, I wanted to be content that I literally tried everything and it just did not work. Now I needed 10,000 for living costs because I already had 2,000 extra from the 40,000, and I needed that money in order for me to apply for the visa, for the study visa. But things were not working, and now I was at the final point, like the last days that I was actually allowed to request for the paperwork to be able to apply for the visa. And I pulled one last stride. I sent an email. I explained the gravity of me not being able to make it to LBS. I explained the unemployment situation in Zimbabwe. I explained in brief. I consolidated the things that I'd been communicating before, and eventually I did get the rest of the funding. So that's how I got the fullness of the full scholarship, and I was happy, I was relieved. It was a great deal for me, and from there I could now apply for my visa. So yeah, that's the long and short of how I got my full scholarship. In a better world, we probably would be having a different conversation. In a better world, we would probably be doing things differently, but we're here now. So back to the 3 main points that we talked about at the start of this video. The first one is communicate. So whether it's by email or by formal application, using a link or online form of some kind, however the case, however the way, however the method, however the means, communicate. If I had not communicated my situation with the school, how would they have known what I was going through? How would they have known what my needs were? If you do not communicate with your school, if you do not communicate with whoever it is that you need to communicate with to get whatever it is that you want, they're not going to know what you need. The second point is communicate well. So as you're communicating, you are giving them a front that will help them decide whether or not to attend to you and whether or not to give to you whatever it is that you're asking for. So as I mentioned before, that I needed to make sure that I do not give a bitter front, because that would have maybe lessened my chances, because it shows lack of self-control in some sense. If you just present yourself in a bitter way, or in a careless way, or in a whatever untruthfulness that you may present yourself, it makes it difficult for them to trust you and to trust you being part of their community. As you're communicating, be mindful of your tone. Try and use wholesome words. Try and use full words. Just use the language of a palace, right? No school would say no to someone that they feel like is the potential future king or the potential Nobel Peace Prize. Everyone wants to house a student like that in their school. So be mindful of your tone. Try to be straight to the point. Try to be as short as possible, but giving as much detail as you possibly can and as much as you should, in order to actually present your case in a comprehensive manner. Don't choose shorthand. Well, I think that's a bit obvious, but don't choose words that are not the most suited for whatever it is that you're trying to say. So try and improve your vocabulary so that you can be able to find words that are best suited for what you want to say. And the last part is cast your net wide. Spreading your net improves the chances of you getting the funding that you actually need. it's spreading your net in terms of the funding options. That could be scholarships, loans, and like anything else that's within your reach, and even things that are beyond your reach. It's just a matter of trying, because you never know what happens, what comes out of it. And it's also about spreading your net as far as the people that you're speaking to. So you could be looking for funding in any one particular school, but there may be various people you could speak to in those. It improves the chances of you getting the funding that you need. But second of all, it gives you substance, it gives you experience, and as you're speaking to one person and the next person, you have things that you say about how your journey is actually going, how your journey of looking for funding is actually going. So as I was talking to the school, for example, I could tell them about my experience in application for loans, and I could give them reasons about what I thought were the reasons for me not getting those loans, because I'd actually gone through the process, because they know that you have cast your net wide. You're not just sitting and waiting for a favor to happen to you. At the end of the day, things happen differently to all of us. So for some, GoFundMe does actually work. Some people actually raise the full amount on GoFundMe, but not everyone is that privileged. Some people have to do all sorts of things. So what you need to do is really cast your net wide to increase your chances, because you don't know where it is that you'll be successful. You may be successful at all of them, for crying out loud, but you may not be successful at all of them. You may be successful at one, and you may also not be successful at any of them. What you want at the end of the day is to be at peace with yourself, knowing that you literally did everything that you ever could have. And if you do not cast your net wide, or if you do not cast your net wide enough, then you are not going to be able to realize that peace. You'll always be thinking to yourself, what if I had done that? What if I had done that? And you'll be tormented more by not having done enough than actually not having had the funding that you need. I hope this video has helped you figure out how you can go around looking for your own funding, and I hope you've had ideas running through your head about how you can tailor whatever it is that I've shared around you getting funding for yourself. I hope you've generally found this useful. Share this video with your friends, with your family, and anyone else who would otherwise find this useful. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share this video so that we can grow this community, and so that we can share ideas as well. And I would be happy to receive the feedback pertaining to this video and pertaining to everything else. I'm grateful for the feedback that I'm getting from different people, and people that I don't expect to be watching some of these videos. It's good to know that it's been useful. Thank you so much, and see you in my next video.